Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Bernie with CG Spectrum. Happy Monday. Deja vu all over again. Uh-oh. My pen isn't working. Going crazy right now. Let me try to fix that again. I don't know why that keeps happening. Yes, that fixed the problem. But yeah, so I just got to make a few fixes to this guy. Got to get rid of, the feedback I got was just to get rid of all the spikes. At least have one version without the spikes. And keep this version as the more advanced version for the 3D class. So that is what I'm going to do. Sorry about that. Later on, I mean, this shouldn't take too long. So later in this stream, I will try something different. I'm thinking right now of doing some weapon concepts and talk about design, basically, like how to go about designing something in a way that looks well balanced proportionally and has layers of different design elements, basically. So we'll explore that later on after we complete this concept. But yeah, overall, the feedback I got was positive. They just wanted me to get rid of some of this stuff. Give them a haircut. So let's get rid of the cool stuff, huh? I'm just partially goofing around. I know the reasons behind it all make sense. Gotta make it easier for a beginner 3D artist. So that's what we're gonna do. Hope you guys all had a good weekend. I had a pretty good weekend. My parents we're settling into their new place. They spent like about a year looking for a place, and they finally got a place in like a few months ago, and they just recently finished up their renovations almost. Well, I say almost because it's still kind of ongoing, but for the most part, the major things are done. So we went to visit them on Saturday, I believe. And yeah, they're all settled in almost, and they're a lot happier. They're really stressed out for about a year, I would say, just trying to figure out where they're gonna live, because they did move here to California from Korea, actually. I mean, they've lived in California for many decades before, but just recently they were living in Korea, and yeah, they decided to move here to spend more time with their grandkids and just their kids too. So yeah, I'm glad they finally found a place and they're settling in. Hopefully they won't move anytime soon, because I'm the one who has to help them every time they decide to move. And that is not fun, because I've been moving around a lot in the past several years myself. So pray that they don't move again. Other than that, what else did I do? I bought like this one of those like water slide jump house thingies that you set up in your backyard. I bought one of those for my kids so they could play outside, because we're probably not going on vacation anytime soon. So thought it'd be worth it. Alright, cool. And the kids love it. They were having so much fun playing on the slide with the water and all that. They wanted me to go on it too, so I was a little afraid that I was gonna destroy the whole thing, but yeah, I just tried going down the slide once. Felt like a kid again. But yeah, I think kids in general are having a tough time because obviously what's going on these days, they can't meet up with their friends as often, or barely any. I think my kids only met up with their friends maybe a few times in a year, so yeah, it must be a tough time, a weird time compared to, like, of course, when we grew up as kids. So yeah, I'm just trying to make it as fun as possible for them while we're stuck at home during the summer, for the most part. Let me know if you guys have any ideas on fun things to do at home with my kids. Or in general, what have you guys been doing that's fun besides watching Netflix? Hey, what's up, Tatum? How you doing? I'm just getting rid of the spikes here, giving this guy a haircut. Hey, Audrey. Oh, I actually went to the not a pet store. It's like a feed and what do you call it? It's one of those, like, stores that, you know, people go to if they have, like, I guess livestock, like goats or horses or chickens and stuff like that, bunny rabbits. So like whatever you need for those kind of animals, they sell a feed store. So I went with one of my sons, and that was interesting. We saw some bunny rabbits that he wanted. So eventually I think we're gonna get some bunny rabbits too. I actually went just to buy some organic. It's funny, I'm looking for organic food for my chickens too. There's an organic starter feed, but of course they were sold out. But yeah, we were just checking out whatever else they had there. And yeah, the bunnies look really cute actually. They had one of those macaw parrots that it was selling for $6,000. I was like, I didn't know they were that expensive. That's pretty crazy. Any of you guys have pets? I'll try making these horns a little larger. Scale that up. It's gonna look like a dragon. Do my kids like to do puppets? Oh yeah, they love it. They love it even when I when I just grab their stuffed animals and I start like, you know, making it look like they're talking to each other. I don't know why, but they love it so much. I'm just goofing around and they just get mesmerized. They get like stuck into it. So yeah, they do like puppets. Hey, what's going on? Mauricio? Yes, ask a question. Ask any question. Whatever you want. And the other thing I did was I put up a shade cloth for my one of my avocado trees. This should be more of a gardening stream actually, or farm stream, urban gardening stream. Talking about chickens and food and gardening. But yeah, I put up a shade cloth for one of my avocado trees because it was getting toasted in the west facing side of it because of the sun. And yeah, avocados are super sensitive to sun, so it's pretty funny the lengths I will go to protect my tree. It's called the reed avocado. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It's one of my favorite avocados. Reed, R-E-E-D, and they're huge. Those avocados are like, they could get this, I guess it's like half the size of my head. I have a pretty small head though. But they're like at least triple to quadruple the size of a Haas avocado. So they're really big. And the cool thing about them is not only do they taste awesome, like they're super creamy and buttery, but the unique thing about them is that they stay good for like soft for a long time without going bad. You could stick them in the fridge and they'll be good for like maybe up to 2 months. So usually when you get avocados and you put them in the fridge, they get nasty, right? Or when they're ripe, you know, they just get super ripe really fast and they go bad. But these avocados don't do that. So look into it. It's called R-E-E-D, Reed avocado. And I found out about them when I was at a, what do you call it? Those farmer markets, right? One of those outdoor farmer markets back in the day that I used to go to. Yeah, and we've been picking blueberries and mulberries from our garden. The kids just love all that stuff. So yeah, it's a fun time for the kids outside. Of course, mosquitoes are coming back. That's the negative. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but around my area, like Southern California, Los Angeles, East Los Angeles area, so it's more inland. There used to be no mosquitoes down here unless you're up in the mountains, right? And even those mosquitoes were not that bad. Like they wouldn't really bite you. It was very rare to get bitten by a mosquito around here. But just about, I would say, 3 or 4 years ago, that's when all these new the new species of mosquitoes started populating around my area. It's called the black tiger mosquito, and they're from Asia, and they're the worst because they hang out throughout the whole day. It's not just dusk and dawn. They're out and about all day long. It doesn't matter. It's all day long they're out. and they don't need a lot of water to populate. They just need like a little puddle of water, and they could lay their eggs in it and populate. So I just absolutely hate them. It actually changed the whole like California outdoor lifestyle by quite a bit. Because again, we used to just hang out all the time outside, and now I have to wear like long sleeves to go outside in the summer. It's crazy. Anyways, sorry I'm rambling about gardening stuff. Let's see. Mauricio. Let's see your question. I was wondering if there is a particular reason for you to be painting on a white canvas. Doesn't it hurt your eyes? Also, doesn't it affect the way you perceive your values? Maybe you're right, Mauricio. Maybe that's why my eyes hurt all the time. It doesn't really hurt my eyes, but I guess you have a point. Again, maybe I just got used to it, but my eyes do get strained a lot. At one point, I thought I needed to wear glasses all the time until I started using those eye drops. And once I started using eye drops, my eyes were a lot better. But you're right. Actually, I don't know why I do this. I think it's a habit. Maybe it's because I cut it out eventually, but yeah, it's a habit. Maybe a bad habit. Because when I work on professional stuff, a lot of the times I will work on a medium gray background. So I am not sure why I do this. It's just, again, a habit. I think that whenever I'm painting my own stuff, it's a habit to just work on white. I don't know why. But I will think about what you said, and next time start on a gray background. Let's try that actually right now. Well, it's not going to look right, but let's just still try it. I got to cut this guy out eventually. Let's see what it looks like. Oops. Yeah, I guess that feels better on my eyes. You saved my eyes. Sure, do it like this. Good idea. But you know what? I gotta leave it like this for now. Sorry, next time I'll do that. Because I still gotta get rid of all this stuff. And I don't want to do I don't want to have to cut it out clean right now. But yeah, thanks. Sometimes, like, when you're just working on stuff, you don't even think too much about stuff. Like, at least I don't. I'm just, like, getting the work done, so I don't think about things like that sometimes, even though I should probably. But you're right. Oh, this belly looks so weird without the spikes. But yeah, like I mentioned earlier, after I'm done with this guy, like getting rid of some of these spikes, I'll talk about some design stuff over probably a weapon design, how to approach just designing in general. Yeah, I'll talk about that. Not planned at all, so hopefully I'll do a decent job explaining it without jumping all over the place. Let me double check some notes real quick. Make sure I'm doing the right thing. All right. Yeah, so I'm just gonna remove every single thing to be safe. Because you guys don't want to see another week like this. This is Groundhog Day. Another Groundhog Day. No. Don't want to see it. Hey, thanks, Mauricio. No problem. I always try to be as honest as possible. Too honest. I think honesty is a good thing. We don't have enough of that these days, right? Even if it means being too honest. Let's see here. Leave these lines in, maybe. Oops. Any other questions? Mauricio or anyone else? Please ask. It's better than me just rambling on about some. Oh, by the way, my chickens are going crazy. Like I had to make a bigger temporary home for them because they're just outgrowing the container they were in. So yeah, like after I upgraded their living space, again, it's just their temporary living space because they're chicks. After I upgraded it, they're just going crazy. I think they're happy, so they're just running around, flapping their wings, just non-stop, like running around and making all this noise now. It was actually starting to annoy me the other day. So I actually tried to put him in my shed temporarily again. But I had to take him out again because it was just too hot for them. Even though like outdoors it was like 85 or something, in my shed it was like almost 100 degrees. And I saw them panting, so I had to take them out. But yeah, we took them outside and had them had the kids play with them on the grass. They're actually, we thought they might like start running all over the place and you know that we would have to catch them, but they actually did not run away. They were just staying very close to all of us, and some of them even would like stay right under our legs like we're their mommy, you know what I mean? I guess they feel safe that way. So that was pretty fun. basic. Hey, Blasphemer. Yeah, Blasphemer says chickens are crazy, bunch of mini T-Rexes. Yeah, their legs or their feet look like T-Rex feet. But yeah, they're fun. It's a lot. They have a lot more personality than I thought they would. Yeah, and the ones I got, luckily, they're the nicer, friendlier type. So they don't really attack us or anything when we try to pick them up. And I'm trying to purposely like pick them up more often and like play with them, hang around them because or have my kids play with them because I read that that's how they get more comfortable with you when they're older. So, or they don't, you know, they're not as skittish when they're older. So that's what I'm trying to do. Alright, let me fix this area up on the head. I feel so much better this week or today than I did last week. Last week I was just stressed out. Today I finally feel normal. Oh my gosh. I was thinking I was gonna die early because of all the stress I was going through. Oh boy. I'll just repeat this over and make it like a, just put it on the other side somewhere. Oops. What am I trying to do? Just lighten it up. Fill the saturation. Kill the contrast. I don't think that's gonna work. Let's try it. Oh, I'm being lazy. I should just draw it in. Tatum is asking, when do you know when a piece is finished? When you run out of time, maybe? Yes. A lot of the times, that's the case where you just run out of time. I would say almost most of the times that's the case. Now that I'm thinking about it. Especially when you work at a studio that is like very high paced, like where they're churning stuff out, then that is almost always the case where, yeah, it's just a matter of time. Like at some point you have to stop. So that's when you know you're done. Or sometimes it's when if you're just a concept artist or, yeah, and you have an art director, right? It's when your art director tells you you're done. So they'll review it, of course, right? And like for example, like right now I work with vendors and I'm art directing the vendors. And so like basically I tell them when it's done, right? So I'll give them feedback. They'll say, hey, this is the final version of the whatever illustration or concept. And then I say, okay, everything looks good, but make some changes to the horns, you know, maybe you know, get rid of this pattern and do some other kind of pattern, right? And turn it in again, and we'll review it. And then they'll turn that in, and then if it all looks good, I'll say, okay, awesome, it looks great, it's done, and then that'll be it. So yeah, again, your art director will determine when it's done, or but if you're just asking like from a concept artist perspective, like when you think you're done, yeah, it could just be when everything's visually communicated well enough, right? Like you can't churn in stuff that is not like clear. That part would never make any sense, right? Like let's say like I turned in something super like rough, like for example, let's say I was doing this jaw area and I kept it like really loose, like something like this. And it's like let's say it's very painterly, right? That would never be okay, you know? Unless it's like a stage before the final where you're doing variations. That's fine, because I could kind of guess as an art director what's going on there. You're just indicating, but of course for a final, that would never fly. Alright, so I'm going to do another version where this chest, like scales or sections are all gone just in case. Just in case. I'm just going to remove all of this. Be on the safe side. Basically, let's get rid of all the cool stuff. All the cool details. And try to keep it to the basic shapes. And look, I'm trying to add back the details. I want to fight. I'm fighting against myself right now. My brain tells me to do this, but I don't want to. Alright, let's clean this all up. Probably leave some indication for a collarbone or something like that. At least. make that look natural, I want to add more detail in it, but that's what the struggle is. That's fine. Yep, this kaiju on the other hand will never be finished, is what Blasphemer said. Please. No, I think it'll be done. It'll be done in about 5 minutes. I'm just double checking. Seeing if I have to do anything else. I think that's it. Spike looks pretty long on the elbow, so I might shorten it. I think I'm done. What happened, T-God? No orthos. What do you mean Candace died? I'm clueless. Explain to me, please. Hey, Blasphemer, I don't think I need to do orthos. So don't worry. If I do, you'll never see me again. If I don't show up to the next stream, it's because I had to do orthos. Alright? So we're done here. Look, no more spikes, only horns. Horns don't count. No more spikes, so I'm done. It's time to celebrate. Let's have a... Oh, what? T-God, what are you talking about, man? T-God. What is going on? Please. Do I have to treat you like one of my kids? Behave yourself. Oh boy. No, I don't mind actually. I'm just joking around. I'm playing along. Alright, cool. Let's talk about some other stuff now. Let's talk about some design stuff. This is not planned, so just bear with me. Let's get rid of this guy. You'll never see him again, hopefully. Unless you take the 3D course at CG Spectrum, then you'll be modeling it and hating me for making it too complex. Or you'll like it if you're good at it. Alright. Oh yeah, I'm sure Audrey says that happens with Twitch. I'm sure that does. I'm sure it happens all the time. Alright. So, I can't show you any reference here, but I'm looking at some reference with some weapons. Oh, let's try the gray background like Mauricio was talking about. I almost forgot. Let's throw that in there. Let's just do. Actually, let's not limit ourselves to. No, let us limit ourselves. Actually, that would make more sense. Let's stick to daggers. Let's do daggers because I know that's part of the. Anyways, yeah, let's do a design a dagger concept and talk about like design approaches to it, like what I'm thinking or what you can be thinking about as you design a weapon, in this case a dagger, because the dagger is one of the things that we there's a dagger project at CG Spectrum if you go through the concept art and illustration curriculum. So yeah, it's always good to start with something very simple when you're trying to learn how to design. If you start with something complex, it's just too much, too big of... yeah, just too much to chew at once, so yeah. So when you're designing a weapon, I always tell people, especially if it's for concept, or particularly if it's for concept, you want to just design it flat. You don't want to put it in perspective or anything like that, because that will alter the proportions, and that will leave it up to the viewer to guess what the proportions are. So for example, yeah, if I design a dagger like this, you can tell what the proportions are, right? Let me actually kind of roughly draw it in perspective. Let's put it, the tip in all the way in the back. Yeah, let's do it like that. I'm just gonna do it very roughly here, but oh, sorry. I think I screwed up. Yeah, let me change that design up. So yeah, if you design this in perspective, right? You're leaving it up to the viewer to understand the proportions. Again, that's just super rough, but I think you get the idea. So here I can tell the proportions when it's flat. Like the length of that part of the handle in comparison to the blade. Obviously the blade is longer, but you can tell by how much, right? And you can see the thickness of that, how thick this part of it is, how wide this opening is, this cut is. Sure, can you kind of guess what that proportions are? Yes, but at the same time it leaves it up to interpretation. You don't know exactly how long this blade is or the handle, right? You're guessing when you're, let's say, modeling it. Or even if the art director's looking at it, what he thinks it should be, or he or she thinks it should be, might be different from what you thought it should be, and it could also be different from what the 3D artist thinks it should be, right? That's why you want to design from a flat perspective, or zero perspective like this. Just flat. Okay? Wider. Alright, so I'm just going to duplicate this a few times. Oops. Alright, let's start with those. Let's do that. So I made 6 of these blades, daggers, as my base. And we're going to explore variations to these. Yeah, so sometimes it's good to just have something underneath just to use as a base. Alright. So let's play around. Again, at this point, I wouldn't worry too much about the drawing quality. You're more thinking about just ideas, right? So yeah, just do a bunch. It could be super rough. So I'm doing a symmetrical one, asymmetrical looking ones. Change it up. Do one where the blade comes down to the handle area. And right now we're mainly just thinking about the blade itself. I'll do one where the center's open. You can just copy paste it if it's symmetrical, so we can try that for this one. Like, oopsie. Just to save time. Let's just do that. Man, my chicks are going crazy. I think they're fighting. Alright, so this is our last blade. Let's try to think of something a little more different. That looks weird. But again, it's just the idea at this point. I'm just going to leave it, not think too much about it. Alright. And here I'm like, so when I'm doing those designs real quick, those sketches, I'm trying not to think too much about critiquing what I'm doing. I'm just trying to lay it down first, lay the idea down, and then at this point, once I've filled in, you know, the thumbnails that I've done, I'm taking a look back at it and just reviewing it real quick. Again, you don't have to be too critical at this point either. I'm just seeing like what I like in general and what's working, what's not working. Just comparing all of them together, seeing you know, if I should have explored more or a different direction on some of them. But yeah, in general, like what I want is I want them to look different from each other at this stage. I don't want anything that's too similar. Hey, have a good night, Blasphemer. Thanks for joining. Don't dream about a kaiju. Me drawing another the kaiju again. Alright, see ya. Trying's gonna make you dream of it. Anyways, let's go roughly into the handle. Again, let's try to explore a handle that will that looks different and but still somewhat kind of resembles the flow and design of your blade. So let's try that out. Yeah, what I'm gonna do real quick is just kind of erase or paint over this connection point so it doesn't restrict. That one's okay. Restrict what I want to do with it, because by putting a line there, it does restrict what I can do visually, at least. So yeah, like when I'm looking at this right now, I'm not getting something immediately, so you just skip to the next one. That's the beauty of doing multiple ideas and thumbnails, so that you're not hung up on one. You can just move on to the next one and come back to the other one, right? When you get a better idea for the whole point is you don't want to get stagnant. You want your brain like to flow, right? Your thought process to flow. You don't want to get stuck. You want it to keep flowing. The creative juices flowing. That's the reason why you don't want to be too critical of yourself at this stage, especially. It's just a thumbnail. It means nothing. No commitment, right? There is no commitment here. It's just playing. You're just exploring. Alright, we'll leave that one. This one actually, let's do this. Handle with spikes on there, kind of like what do you call those? Brass knuckle type things, but with spikes on them. Spikes everywhere. Yeah, we might change up that blade later, but again, I don't want to critique it too hard right now. And I will talk more about the design details or why I chose to do this or that after I do a quick pass, okay? Just going through the process first. This design looks the weakest so far. But sometimes that is a challenge. That's the fun. That becomes the challenge. Is like, okay, can I take this weak design and make it work? That could be a fun part of the process as well. The fun design process. Yeah, not sure about this part here, so I'm just gonna leave it and keep going. This one. Leave it like that. Pretty wacky. This one I will keep the original sketch flow. Put a cap right here on it. Let's put a little skull on it. And looks like a paper hat or a paper boat on that guy. Let's do that for fun. And I'll put little rivets or little metal thingies on there. Alright, lastly, this guy. This blade looks the wackiest. It look more like a barbarian dagger. Alright, so we roughly painted in these daggers, or sketched it in. Now we could start making some adjustments and being more critical of the way the design looks. These are just ideas, right? This is not like any sophisticated design or all that. Like, I wasn't critiquing the proportions, I wasn't critiquing the details or anything at this point. They're just ideas, right? So now we can take a closer look at it and talk about what we're gonna do or make adjustments to it. Alright, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut these out and do one at a time. Yeah, so when I'm refining a drawing, I just sometimes I'll just reduce the opacity on it and then redraw it or make adjustments on top of it. But yeah, before I do that, let's just grab pieces of it and play with the proportions again. So I use the warp tool to like stretch things out, play with the proportions, move stuff around quickly, see what works, what doesn't work. It's just a quick way to try different things before you settle. And when you're doing this, again, you are looking at proportions, and you are also looking at the flow of things, right? And yeah, we'll talk about that some more. That doesn't look so good. Yeah, so here again, we are critiquing ourselves a lot more at this point. Now we're starting. Because now that I have an idea, I no longer have to think about the idea, but now I'm focused on the design, the overall design of it. Oops. Alright, let's say that's cool. Now I will, lower the opacity on it. And start drawing on top. And what I'm imagining in my head right now is that this blade is more of a, actually I'm not 100% sure. It might either be a bone blade, or it might be, what should we call it? Those blades that, someone should help me with that. What the Native Americans used to use. It would chip it, right? What is that called? Some kind of stone that's slightly transparent. Kind of has the texture of onyx, but like kind of glass-like, right? Like when glass breaks. I think we'll do that. Yeah, instead of bone, we'll make the handle area more bone-like. And this area will be more like shards. Definitely, for most of you guys, I would say get reference. It's not like you have to do studies for it at this point for something like this, but definitely study the reference visually, right? And check out what the shards or the surface of the material that you're trying to communicate looks like, so that you could quickly indicate it. And here, I'm not thinking this is a final or anything like that. This would be a one variation out of maybe 2 or 3 that I would submit. Probably out of 3. Because weapon concepts probably don't take that long usually. So doing 3 would not be too hard. This is not great design because it'll go right through his hand or whoever's holding the blade, but I'm just going to do that. Maybe their fingers could go over it somehow. Or it becomes part of their hand. They can't let go of it. Try to make this look more like bone here. And I will put leather straps over it. That's the other thing is when you're designing something, you want to be thinking about the materials, and usually, generally, I would try to stick to just 2 materials. 3 or 4 materials. So in this case, it's a weapon, so I'm thinking of mainly using 3 materials. It's the bone, leather, and that transparent stone, right? or shard. Sometimes people go overboard with the materials and they're like mixing in like 7 different materials and it just gets too crazy visually. So even when you're designing like a character costume or something like that, outfit, you want to stick to around 3 to 4 mainly. Of course you could have like gems and things like that here and there to accent the design, but mainly 3 or 4 materials for the overall materials is good. Alright, so at this point I'm going to darken up some of these lines so it reads a little better. Thicken up some of these lines. And play with the angles and the curves a little bit if I want to, just to emphasize the shape. And that can give me ideas as well on, again, shape design. Alright. I don't want to put a little scrap there. Let's see if that could work. I was trying it earlier and it didn't look right, but try it again. Nope. Looks odd. Alright, so just some basic things about my approach to this particular blade or dagger is you want to have an overall interesting silhouette. So obviously here, this is a silhouette. So in your mind, like when you're designing this, or even at the thumbnail stage when you are looking at it, remember when I said you zoom out to consider the thumbnails that you currently have? Let's see if we can find that again. Yeah, at this stage. I'm trying to, like, you're always trying to visualize the silhouette. You're looking at the overall silhouette. You start from there and then you're looking at the flow of the design. So if we go back to this blade or this dagger, I'm always trying to focus on the silhouette and make sure that, hey, see ya, Tatum. Have a good night. Make sure that that silhouette looks interesting shape-wise and, yeah, shape-wise, right? And then you're also trying to consider the proportions. So after you look at the silhouette, you're trying to look at the proportions, which means, in this case, this blade part is this big, right? That's the blade. And this is the handle. I guess it could kind of blend in here, but basically it's that. Right? And so the silhouette is the major shape, like I said. So we could, and how do we know that looks good is by studying nature. All of us, obviously, we live on planet Earth. And on planet Earth, we have design rules, right? So for example, if you look at someone's hand, right? Let's just draw a hand real quick. I'm gonna do a Play-Doh-y hand. Alright, ooh, look at that, beautiful. Alright. Oh, let me cut that out. Make it a little more proportionally correct. Anyways, let's say that's an awesome hand. But the point of this isn't the drawing of the hand, but the proportions. So again, that's the silhouette of a hand, right? So you see an interesting silhouette. But if you break this down, the hand has a palm, right? This is the palm. And on that palm, there's these fingers that are attached to it, right? Right? So overall, again, the large shape is the hand. The medium shape is the blue palm, right? And then the small shape, or smaller shapes, are the fingers. And there's multiples of them, right? So we know that from nature, this is how nature designed things. It's proportions. And this is how the nature breaks up things. So even you could think about it from a branch or leaf perspective too. So when you look at the tip of a leaf or branch, oops, sorry. For example, let's say something like that, okay? Overall, this could look as one grouping, one shape, right? And then within that one grouping, we have 3 leaves that have been broken up into 3, right? The grouping has been broken up into 3. And then the details, maybe they're the veins of the leaves themselves, right? Further breaking it up visually, right? And there's usually more of the small details, like so in this case there's multiples of those yellow veins, or sorry, in this case yellow veins on the leaf. And there's for the medium shapes, which are the blue leaves, right? There's a moderate amount, so let's in this case 3, right? And then of course the large shape, there's only 1. Does that make sense? So this is kind of how you could approach design, and what looks good to us as humans is things that are from like how nature breaks up proportions and design. This is what we're familiar with, and this is what looks natural to us and believable to us, right? So we have to derive, in my opinion, everything from nature, because that's where we're at. Okay? So we're gonna apply that same mindset or idea, that principle, to designing our own stuff. And it could apply to anything, whether it's vehicles, whether it's designing a rock, whether it's designing a dagger in this case, or an outfit or a costume. All the same design principles that I just kind of briefly went over applies to everything that needs designing. Hey, what's up, John? John is that, or I'll call you Pierre, sorry. Pierre is asking, can you do an example of a bad design in terms of proportion, I mean? Okay. Yeah, sure, that's a good... So, let me go back to this dagger first, because I kind of stopped explaining the proportions of it. So yeah, here. We already said the whole silhouette is the big shape. Here, the red part, the blade part, is the next major shape, right, in the breakdown of this blade. That takes up basically 2/3 of the whole image, right? So if this is like equal distance, let's just say, right? Let's say this is equal distance, about. This takes up 2/3. This is 1/3, right? So it's not just by height, I'm talking about mass-wise, right? Or in terms of real estate, right? This takes up about 2/3 of the entire silhouette of the dagger, right? So usually thirds, like 2/3, that's like a good number to go by for proportions. Okay? That's why even when we place a character, like this is, let's say, the character's head, okay? And when we do a 3/4 angle or a 2/3 angle, whatever, it always looks good because, again, we're going by thirds. So this is 2/3 of, let's say these are the eyes, okay? Okay? Let's just say. Right here, this middle line, the center line, right? If we divide this up again into thirds, again, this side, because this is the center line, right? That's the center line. This side right here is, again, 2/3 of the head, right? This side is 1/3. So for whatever reason, again, I mean, not whatever reason, sorry, because we're seeing everything from nature, right? This looks ideal to us. This works for us visually. Whoops, drew over all that. So what's bad design then, you're saying? So let's try it out. Bad design could be if the proportions are just half and half, for example, okay? So let's mess with this and make it half and half. Let's say, try to make it half. Oh, my computer is slowing down for some reason. Oh boy. Sorry about that. I got some lag going on. Give me a second. Oh boy. Forget this. Let me just draw it roughly for you, okay? Because it's lagging on me. So for example, again, if I'm going to draw this blade, but then I do it half and half. So let's extend this out. Whoops, sorry about that. Go like that. Just going to eyeball it. Say that's the halfway point. Choose blue. So let's say I did something like this. Oh boy. I apologize for the lag. Making me angry. I don't even have that much stuff open. Alright, I'm just gonna do it roughly. This is going crazy. Alright, so what if I did something like that, and then made the handle this big? Sure, could it work? In some cases it can, but I'm just speaking generally, right? It's not as interesting to look at if things are just proportionally cut in half, for example, right? Or the silhouette may not be as interesting to look at. I'm not saying you can't do a dagger like this, but if you want to make it more interesting, right? If you're exploring, right? If it's not like whatever you're designing is not based off of just real life, right? Or it's not super realistic, then like this simple blade doesn't look as interesting. You want to break it up. So here I broke it up into threes, right? Or maybe more than that. Even in this handle, I'm breaking it up. The way I'm putting down and placing the straps, the leather straps, is all at different angles, right? And I'm even considering the negative space between the straps, the shapes that I'm creating underneath the straps. Those are all things you want to be thinking about. So for example, what if instead of doing that with the straps, right? What if I just did something like this? Where the straps are just equally spaced apart. So for example, again, sorry for the lag. Oh my gosh. And they're equal thicknesses too. That doesn't look as interesting, right? Especially in this case because it's more for, like, let's say a barbarian dagger. See how the straps are equally spaced? Sure, in some cases that could work. If it's, you know, just a regular, like a knight's dagger, then maybe, you know, the leather straps are supposed to be designed equally apart. But in this case, it wouldn't look as interesting. I gotta close some stuff. I don't know what's going on. Give me a moment, guys. By the way, if you guys could take a moment to give me a like for this stream, I appreciate that. Oh, there we go. Kind of actually delete some stuff here. Yeah, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask. Alright, let's see if that solved the problem. Yeah, so you can see again, equal distance, equal thickness of the leather straps. That makes everything look boring. That didn't solve the problem. Give me another second or two. Anyways, yeah, so those are definitely things you want to think about, and obviously as we get into more of the texture, we're also even thinking about that as we're breaking up the textures. So if I choose green here, you can see how I'm loosely breaking this up. You can see that there's very few areas that are equally broken up in distance. So here you can see that line. This one's a longer line, right? This area is really... Yeah, sorry about this. Let me try restarting my Photoshop. If that doesn't work, I might have to see you guys next week. Thanks, Pierre. Thanks for being understanding of my situation. But yeah, with design, there's many aspects. We're just starting right now, or I'm just starting to talk about it here. Of course, there are many different levels to understanding design. This is just the basic things that you can start thinking about as you are designing something like a weapon. That's like, you know, the most simplest thing basically that you could design is like a prop or weapon, right? Compared to a character. But if you can design a weapon or a prop really well, then you can basically design anything if you take your time, right? Because it's all about understanding the principles behind design, right? Once you understand those designs, you could apply that same thinking and logic to anything. Again, like whether it's a vehicle, character, or a prop, or even a rock. Yeah, there's something wrong with my computer. I'm not gonna restart my computer because it'll mess up the whole stream, but yeah, it's just lagging. Yep. But yeah, we'll maybe we'll continue designing a weapon next week. I'm not sure. I gotta talk to some people and figure out what they want me to do on the stream. But yeah, thanks for joining me. Sorry about cutting the stream short. Just having some issues with Photoshop. But yeah, hopefully this helped you understand how to approach designing a concept for a weapon. Yeah, and feel free to try this out and see if it helps you. Alright, thanks everyone. I'm gonna check out early today. Hope you guys have a great week. Keep working hard on whatever projects or assignments that you're working on. And I will see you guys next time, alright? Bye!